The best way to see the true landscape of Cornwall and Devon is on foot.
Britain is a walker's paradise, and these two counties are packed with beautiful walks. Just another epic cove in Cornwall.
With over 5,000 miles of footpaths
You've got to follow the wonderful curves of the river.
across spectacular and varied landscapes.
Just makes my heart sing.
I'm with you.
From the rugged rocks of Dartmoor to the picturesque port of Padstow.
Life-affirmingly good.
And en route, I'll be seeking out the county's most unforgettable views.
This is thought to be the oldest surviving beacon in the British Isles.
Sampling some of the region's most famous food and drink.
Cheers, everyone.
The jam first, or is it the cream first?
Extreme painting.
And meeting the people
Got it.
Good work.
that make Cornwall and Devon so unique.
So walk with me. It's going to be an adventure you'll never forget. Today, my Cornwall and Devon adventure is taking me all along the ruggedly beautiful Cornish coastline to the panoramic seascape of Land's End.
This stretch of coastline in West Cornwall is known for its mythical landscapes and a special quality of light that's said to have inspired artists for centuries. Today's 6.5-mile walk is bookended by two beautiful sandy beaches, but it's got some challenging bits in the middle. I'll be starting at Porthcurno, then following the coast to the UK's most westerly point at Land's End, and then on to Sennen Cove. I'm told the light and beauty of this landscape is like walking through a picture gallery. So before I begin, I want to get some pointers from a resident with a keen eye.
Kurt, hello! What is this? Stream painting?
Yeah, well, we're on the edge, that's for sure.
Literally on the edge.
Kurt Jackson is one of the UK's most important contemporary artists, and as a dedicated environmentalist, his work celebrates the natural world.
I like dramatic places, marginal places. I like where the elements are coming at you full force and, you know, nature in the raw. This is what gets me going.
Well, you have got it here in spades. I love this. I love the way you splash and use your brushes.
It's got layers of collage on here first, of like Hessian and granite dust. And I quite like the idea that to include the actual geology of the place in with the paint.
Why do you think this corner of the UK is so enticing to artists?
There has always been this argument that it's about the lights because we're in the far west. So you get this strong sunlight, clean air. There's something about the geology, the silica suspended in the water that's reflecting the light. So you do get these intense colours and glimmers in the sea. West Cornwall has basically had two revolutions in modern art. One in the late 1800s with the Newlyn School of Artists, and they were attracted because Cornwall was full of an old romance to them in terms of the fishing community. And then it all picked up again in the post-war when the real revolution in modern art happened with the abstract artists based more around St Ives, so up the coast a bit.
Yeah. So my walk today is Porthcurno to Land's End. I know that you're a walker. What can I look out for and enjoy along the way?
It's a very rugged stretch of coast. It's a raw landscape. We're like facing west. The storms arrive here first. Obviously the sun's going in and out, the light's changing, the tide's coming in and out. It's an area of outstanding natural beauty. It's just absolutely chock-a-block with natural wonders.
After meeting Kurt, I'm beginning to understand why artists find this landscape so alluring.
I'm never going to look at those cliffs in the same way again.
The first mile of my walk leads me from the white sands of Porthcurno Beach, past the Minack Theatre, onto an ancient well called St Levan's.
Wow, could be in Greece. So Porthcurno Beach is a jewel of Cornwall. It's won more awards than Meryl Streep for its white sands and turquoise waters. But it's not just a good-looking beach. This is a place with a few stories to tell. This beach has played a pioneering role in global communications. The largest telegraph station in the world was situated right here, and the first cable was laid in 1870, connecting the UK to the rest of the globe, under there. It's a bit mad when you think about it. I like the body boogers as well. It's hilarious that this is telecommunications HQ, and now everyone's body boogieing.
Porthcurno Beach was the site of the UK's largest telegraph station because of its secluded location. But when World War II started, this communication hub was under the threat of attack.
A few weeks after the war started, the decision was made to protect the station, and they moved everything lock, stock and barrel underground.
This route continues from the beach up to the top of the headland via a set of steep steps. But it's worth the climb because these cliffs are home to an important place for the performing arts. The Minack is a breathtaking open-air theatre built into the rocks, and it's the work of a local resident called Rowena Cade, who constructed it by hand at the bottom of her garden.
She was obviously quite a woman to create all of this. There's a story from the 50s that a Spanish freight ship got wrecked in the Cove, and apparently Rowena went onto the ship and started lifting these 15-foot beams off it and carting them up the cliffs to bring and use at the theatre. And when the police questioned her, they immediately eliminated her from inquiries because they thought she was too wafy to have managed to cart them up here. But she had, and she did. Phil, you've stolen the sun. Where's it gone?
It'll be back. I'm so sorry about that. It happens here, but it doesn't make any difference to us. We play and do things whatever the weather.
The theatre runs around 30 productions a year from Easter to late October, and it's the job of manager Phil to keep things going.
Now, I've just been talking about the formidable Rowena Cade. I think that's the right word for her. She was a woman of ambition.
She was.
And purpose.
Yep.
And you met her.
It's a good word, formidable. I mean, she always reminded me of my headmistress at primary school. She was Cheltenham Ladies College educated,
Yep.
but mixing concrete with her hands and had a vision and made it happen.
And I imagine as it grew and the theatre grew in its popularity, it must just have become so much more important to her, not just the project in her garden. It then became such an important part of this community, didn't it?
No, absolutely. And that's how it really started, because the Eastern Telegraph Company, they suddenly put a load of educated engineers from London and into a valley where it was farmers and fishermen and nobody else. To keep themselves interested, the company built them a theatre down in the valley. And Rowena got involved with that, helping out. She was a seamstress, she was very talented. So she was making costumes and props for these little performances. And they decided to do an open-air Shakespeare. So they did some Midsummer Night's Dream in the wood, back up in the valley. And then they thought, well, that went pretty well. Let's have a go at the Tempest. And the cliffs would be obviously a great place for the Tempest. And this was her garden. And she was...
So that's what sparked it.
That's what sparked it. She built a stage for her friends to put on the Tempest in 1932. No great plans for it to be here 90 years later. Not that wasn't in her planning. Yeah. That's the way it's turned out.
Rowena passed away in 1983 at the grand old age of 89. Her legacy is this outdoor stage, a magical place to perform in an exceptional setting.
My time back on the stage! Yes! He walked amongst a trial of men in a suit of shabby grey. His cricket cap was upon his head, and yet his step seemed light and gay. I never saw a man who looked with such a wistful eye upon that little tent of blue that prisoners called the sky. Rada, where are you? Anyway, there we go.
I love a bit of Oscar Wilde, although I probably shouldn't hang about waiting for the phone to ring, hey? The well-trodden path continues west, and this is a flatter section along the cliff tops with more spectacular views.
Just another epic cove in Cornwall.
Just off the path is St Leven's Well. Now a ruin, it was once a part of an 8th century chapel.
So this is the ancient St Leven's Well. There is a bit of water here. Doesn't look that fresh, to be honest. And apparently, if you're going blind or you're suffering from toothache, come, sleep here next to the wall, and you'll be cured. That's not a personal recommendation, of course, it's just ancient folklore.
I can't wait to see what the next 5.5 miles have in store for me. I'm in West Cornwall, where I'm heading from Porthcurno Beach past Land's End to Sennen Cove. The next leg will take me just over a mile from St Leven's Well, past Porthcurno to Gwenup Head. The path slopes down from a small hamlet to a secluded beach.
So the Minack Theatre is about a mile behind me that way, as is the Sunshine. I'm going to ask you here to do a little favour to mountain rescue teams all across the country. When you go for your walk and it's glorious sunshine, please pack your waterproofs and different weather gear in your backpack, because so many people get it wrong, and by the end of the day they get stuck in bad weather, and it does change. That is just the rule of walking. What a lovely, lovely little cove. So this is Porthcurno, and that moody tunnel that I walked through, and you can see a couple more around here, that was hand-carved by farmers so that they could get their horses and carts down here back in the day, load up with this seaweed and get it back out there onto the agricultural land to use as fertiliser. And the tunnels were probably used by smugglers as well. Highly likely, I'd say, because they look very Smugglers Covey, don't they? A lot of pole dart filming here too. But we don't talk about pole dart because it's on the BBC.
Porthcurno is the last settlement before Land's End, almost 4 miles of nothing but this prehistoric landscape. And this is where the tough hiking begins. You have to be reasonably fit to do this walk, as there are around 1,355 feet of ascent over roughly 6 miles. And watch your step, because there are some deadly drops.
Well, there's a rugged Cornish coastline, and then there's just ridiculousness. I mean, this is a bit like dicing with death. On this side, you've got a blowhole that plummets all the way down to the sea. I mean, it's properly scary and steep. And then on this side, you've got a sheer cliff face. But look at it. Look at this landscape. Just look where I've come from. Through the mist, over these jagged rocks. You sort of expect dinosaurs to loom around. You can't complain about the drama here, that's for sure. Whew. Steady heart.
The next section of the walk is just as dramatic, but maybe a little less treacherous, from Gwenup Head to Land's End.
I go walking at least 2 or 3 times a week, and not always in dramatic landscapes like this. I go to my local park or the canal, over bridges. If I've ever got a problem, go for a good walk, and genuinely, things become clearer. There he is. Hello, Jay. How are you? Oh, look, what do you think of this as a landscape?
Psychotherapist Jonathan uses walks in nature to treat his clients, and I've invited him to talk me through the benefits of being outdoors.
So what is it about walking? What does it do to our brains? Why is it so good for us?
So right now we know we're living in a culture of stress, and but when we're stressed, we can't think.
And that's when anxiety and all of those things kick in.
Stress is an energy that kind of goes inward rather than outward. You've got no way to channel it out. And that's the great thing about walking. It's great for creative thinking. It's great for processing emotions. It's an absolute life requirement that we need.
This is what we have to do.
This is a fundamental requirement, in my opinion, for what we need to do to manage our mental health. And the great thing about it, we can do it as often as we like, and it's free.
While it's not always possible to venture far from home, any outdoor green space can have a transformative effect on us.
And it doesn't have to be an hour, does it?
20 minutes is enough just to kind of lower the stress hormones, and it makes a huge difference. It really does.
Most cities in and around the UK have got a park. They've got green spaces, so find them.
They're everywhere. They're absolutely everywhere.
What do you think of that?
Well, it doesn't get better than that, does it?
It's a really special part of the countryside here.
And it gives you instant headspace, for me.
Yeah.
It really does, you know?
And creativity.
Well, it's a picture in itself, isn't it? How can this not spark creativity, you know?
I'm feeling revived. I've passed my halfway point now, only another 3 miles to traverse.
If you don't have a friend walking with you, don't worry. You can make some along the way. See you, Cyril.
On this walk, there's an option of a stop at a secret swimming spot at Nanjizzle Bay. At its heart is a stunning rock formation known as the Song of the Sea. Now, I'm partial to a quick dip, but I'm already pretty soggy, so I'll give it a miss today. After a long day's walk, I'm finally approaching Land's End. You can drive here, but arriving on foot from the coast path is an entirely different experience. You feel like you've earned the view.
Yeah! Hey! Woo! Hello, Land's End! Oh, the air is so fresh. Breathtaking. Really is. This is the perfect panoramic seascape. What a magical spot.
This is a scene that's been celebrated in numerous paintings, but perhaps most famously by the artist Joseph Turner.
This is the most westerly point of England, and this is the last place that the sun sets in the mainland, and it sets 22 minutes and 28 seconds behind London. So my children are in bed right now, and I am here still enjoying a sunset. But I've got one more little treat before I go home.
Another mile until Sennen Cove, and I started this walk with an artist, so I'll finish with one too. Tony Plant creates breathtaking scenes on beaches and landscapes, and he works with nature, using nothing more than a simple rake.
Tony.
Hi, Julie.
Hello, hello. I recognise the man with the rake. It must be you.
That's me, yep.
How long his artwork lasts depends entirely on the elements.
So this is huge. I mean, the bits that I can see that are still remaining. How long have you been working on this?
About 4 or 5 hours ago, I think it started, but most of it's gone now, in truth. It's inevitable, so somebody once came up to me and said they admired my optimism when they saw one of these. And so I work on found objects, and this is a massive found object. The beach is about as found as you can get, and it changes every single day, changes every single tide. It changes colour with the wind. Everything is in flux, and the edges are always moving. The edges are not fixed, like a painting. So I have been doing this for a long time, and I'm just going to keep doing this forever.
Look, there's a man standing right in the middle of one of your circles. Look.
Lucky.
I love that. And then he's going into the middle of the next one.
You get great reactions from people.
Because you don't signpost when you're working, do you? You don't let anybody know. So people will then just accidentally walk in to something like this. And you don't mind.
There's no point. I'm serious about it, but I'm not precious, and so...
And that is a part of it for you, watching people's reaction when they first come across. This is a very creative little corner of the world here, isn't it? It's definitely in the Cornish blood, the art.
It is, but I think it's because the landscape is so...
Impermanent.
impermanent, beautiful with it. It's just absolutely beautiful.
I'm going to head down there and become a part of your painting before it completely disappears.
Well, good luck with that.
Thank you.
This challenging walk is filled with picture-perfect landscapes and drama. But for me, it's a walk that is intensified by the ever-changing light and weather.
Everything changes in nature all the time. The seasons, the leaves falling off the trees, but nothing more so than the ocean and the coastline, which is changing by the minute. And next time I do it, it will be an entirely different experience, just as beautiful, but very different.
I'm walking in North Cornwall,
Whichever way you turn, you can't help smiling.
from the port of Padstow
Oh, wow.
Oh, gorgeousness. We'll take your full catch.
That's right, ideal.
to Trevone Bay on the wild Atlantic coast.
Proper windy Atlantic walk. Here we come.